Can you help us pronounce your name?
Which of them? I was very strict with with devices. My son only got a phone when he was in secondary school. We got it in the tree shop, and there and then, can you make sure it cannot access any adult content?
Even just neutral TV.
Exactly.
Neutral cartoons.
Just
about
wholesome.
neutral wholesome.
Family.
You're not going to get none of that.
No.
You're going to have to go out of your way
Yeah.
to source it. Let the kids be kids.
Yeah.
The kids are not allowed to be kids
No.
these days.
A lot of pedophiles will do TV shows on YouTube and tag a popular cartoon.
Wait, what do you mean?
Ghosts, goblins, zombies, witches, warlocks, magic, sorcery, psychics, all of these things that God says, I hate those things!
Thank you very much, Auntie Ivy, for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Can you help us pronounce your name?
Which of them?
The full thing.
So it's Ivy Nakbodia Egmont. The Nakbodia is my father's name.
Okay.
And
So you have a
Egmont.
double barrel name.
Yes.
I feel like it makes it even more special, right? Because the dedication was to your son,
Yeah.
Neil.
Yes.
I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes.
And it just makes it impactful. And I feel like it's especially impactful because, am I right in saying you're writing to parents? Or you're writing to the general?
Parents, children, just anyone
everybody
who's really interested.
Who's interested. Okay, let me say the name of the book. So this is called Secrets of Halloween You Didn't Know. And, well, this is the book. So I have read the digital copy. This is the hard copy, which I'm holding for the first time. And it's more beautiful in person than it is online. So you need to get yourself a copy. We're going to put a link in the description box, and you guys know what to do, all right? Welcome to the channel Strip, where we channel our energy to learn new things and strip away negative misconceptions. That is my very wordy intro. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with, why did you write the book?
Okay, so I think my main reason for writing the book is because I just wanted to create an awareness and just let people know really the background, the origin, and just everything that people wouldn't normally see or be portrayed, about Halloween. So over the past few years, I've been teaching the children and adults, as in the parents as well, about the, let me say, the secrets of Halloween. I'll put it that way. And I've come across, I had a good bit of information, and I was like, oh, it'd be nice to share it. But one thing definitely that made me also write it was I kind of had something happened to me last year that kind of, changed the trajectory of my life, and it made me really sit down and be like, okay, what am I doing with my life, So, yeah, I decided, I've always loved writing.
Yeah.
Done a few articles here and there, and I was like, okay, it's time to do this.
Yeah, time to put thoughts to paper.
Yes.
And document, which is really important because wisdom is collated in words that we can then pass on and pass on.
That is it.
Why the word secrets? In terms of why secrets? Why not just information about Halloween or whatever about Halloween or any type of way you want to phrase it?
Yeah, I think I use that word secrets because there's a lot that a lot of people don't know about Halloween.
Yeah.
They just see the fun, the games, the sweets.
Yep.
There's a lot
Yeah.
in the background
Yes.
that has to do with Halloween. That's why I said secrets. And I also said secrets because when you hear secrets, you're like, what's that?
Yeah.
So people want to know.
Perks your interest.
Yeah. So that's the reason why.
Yeah, for sure. In one of your Zoom interviews on Facebook, you had mentioned that you were involved in school, especially when your son was younger.
Yeah.
You were on the board, that kind of thing. Back then, do you remember, because I certainly don't remember, but do you remember what is taught in Halloween, in school, about Halloweens?
Oh, it's all big. They're like the whole month. They're giving them, especially when they're younger ones, they're giving them things to color and witches, wizards, skeletons, all this kind of things. And I think the Friday before they go off school for the bank holiday, it's a meet and break.
Yes.
They get them to dress up,
Yes.
and they, just all sorts of things really.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember.
Yeah.
Like that's donkey
sure-
years ago. My
yeah.
son is 23 now, so
Okay, nice.
yeah, that's what I remember from it. But I don't know per se if they taught them anything, but it was just the concept behind it that I just wasn't very comfortable with as a Christian. So that was it for me.
Yeah, 100%. As someone who's been through the Irish school system, and people can correct us in the comment section, I also don't remember being taught in school.
Yeah.
This means this or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's so part of the culture. It's so cultural
It is.
that, like you said, I just remember pictures. And
Yes.
dressing
The
up.
activities.
Exactly.
The sweets.
Exactly.
Everybody
No one-
remembers the
yeah.
sweets.
No one really sits you down to go, this is why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's so ingrained in, I guess maybe they expect parents to do that part.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But
I don't think anyone ever really thought about it. That's
No.
let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah,
'cause
this is true. We just
I don't think the children would even be like, okay, what's it all about? They're just having, to them,
Fun.
it's fun.
Yes.
So I don't think a lot of people really questioned it.
Yeah.
So that's why, for me, at first, and I'll say this, at first I was like, oh, I didn't really know any better or any difference because my background, I'm Nigerian, and there was nothing like that. When I came to Ireland, that was when I knew about it. And at first I was like, oh, just dress up, let the kids go out. Now, in fairness, my son was never a big fan of it. Like, thank God for that. But even when, as he started to grow older and I saw what it was and I would curtail him and stop him, he was okay with it. Like, we didn't have any issues with that. And for him, it wasn't like I was depriving him or not letting him do that. Now, it could be different for a child who exactly that's part of their life and all that. It could be different, but for him, he flowed with it.
Yeah. So when you started to get more into like being serious about it, what did you do? Did you pull him out of school on those days, or like how far did you go with
I think
bringing new
late.
structures?
I didn't pull him out of school. What I did was I wrote a letter to the school and I said, please, I know it's Halloween season. Can you leave my son out of it? Give him something else to do.
Wow.
And that was what I did. I didn't pull him out of school.
Did they comply?
They did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they would now in 2023 if you wrote such a letter?
I know they will because they are obliged to. I know last year I had a couple of parents, like over the years I've had parents ask, for advice, especially in schools. But I particularly remember last year because this is not a parent in my church, but she was from a different branch. And when she saw that I had the book out, she was like, oh, so what do we do? Da, da, da. And I advised her, I said, write a letter to the school and let them know, or go in, talk to the principal. And as a parent, if you're against anything that they're teaching, you have two choices. You can't pull your child out. That's one choice. The other choice is you can tell them not to let the child do that, but they are obliged to find something else for the child to do.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't watch this interview, but I saw that you attended a Zoom thing again on Facebook about the curriculum.
Yeah.
I think it was, am I right in saying the SPHE curriculum?
Yeah.
And is it similar principles? If you don't want your child engaged,
Yes.
you can write to the school
Yes.
and say, listen, pull them during this period.
Yeah.
Give them alternative
Give
work,
them something to
and
do.
they
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They are obliged to do
I
that.
didn't
Yeah.
know that. So I guess it's how involved do the parents want to be, and it's down
Yeah,
to them.
yeah. It's. I think, especially now, it's very good and very important for parents to be involved. Even being on the school board, that way you get a say and you know what's going on. You're in the loop. So yeah.
Okay, I'm about to ask you another question that I didn't ask you before.
Okay.
But do you know of any Christian schools in Ireland? Like, if you wanted to go to a Christian school, is that an option? Especially in, like, let's just say Dublin, because we live in Dublin.
Well, I think if we say Christian schools, there are a lot of Christian schools because you see the Catholic schools or the Church of Ireland schools. Those are Christian schools.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're Christian schools.
But
when
they do all this Halloween stuff, though.
they quite a few of them do that. So if you're talking about a school that doesn't particularly, do maybe observe Halloween or some other thing that, we wouldn't say it's faith-based. I don't know of any such schools. But what I know, and this is something new, maybe, well, I've only heard of it recently. I was in summer camp in July, and I met a young girl. She's a pastor's child, and she said she's been homeschooled.
Yeah, I know of homeschooling.
Yeah, so I know, I don't think I've always known about it, but I always thought it was an American thing. So, for it to be that now, it's here and people have that option. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, but
I
it's
was gonna
doable.
say, yeah, I was gonna say it's quite. The parents have to be very hands-on, very
Yeah.
involved, know the
Yeah.
schedule,
Yeah.
send all the right documents
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
government, and
Yeah.
but it is an option for those who
It is.
are able to.
Yeah. And I know for some special
this.
needs children,
Yes,
they do that
they do
as
that.
well. Yeah.
So homeschooling is definitely an option, but I suppose it depends on how far you want to.
Yeah.
How far you want to go.
It is. It does.
That's really.
And how disciplined you are yourself, because
yeah.
it is a lot. It is a lot.
So let's talk a little bit about symbols, because what we're saying is that the kids are coloring pictures in and drawing and doing artwork that is very much Halloween themed. That's what I remember from my schooling experience. There is a chapter or a sub chapter on symbols, but like, why? What is my question? I guess why do they do that style? Why not? Well, I guess it'd be boring to sit them down and actually give them a whole lecture on Halloween. Instead, they choose to just do artwork.
Well, I'm sure if they did a whole lecture, some of the kids would probably go home, tell your parents, and
Yeah.
they wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of symbols that have to do with Halloween, and I've asked a question, and let me throw that to you. Can you name one positive Halloween symbol that you know?
Okay, let's define positive. Like a symbol that makes me feel good, or
Yeah, that makes you happy. That you see it and you're like, oh, isn't that lovely? Just one.
Okay, if I had to choose one,
Yeah.
I'd choose the pumpkin.
Okay, with the scary face.
Not with the scary face. No, one with a.
Well, that is generally what the pumpkins are in Halloween.
yeah.
Like I have a child. This was last year. She's 5 now. She was 4 last year when she just started, kindergarten. And the girl was traumatized
Wow.
the week of Halloween, or the week before Halloween, and the mom had to pull her out of school for the rest of the week, because she would go, everything that was being shown to her, she go, I'm scared. It's scary. It's scary. Like the pumpkin, it might probably be the less scarier one, but it has a scary face on it. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's what I had to. That's why I chose that one. Was the
Yeah,
least
I get you.
of the lot.
So there's a lot of everything around the symbols, everything around Halloween. It all spells death, and that is the origin of Halloween. It is a celebration for the Celtic god of death. Samhain, and that is what it is mainly about.
Yeah.
That's why you see skeletons, you see witches, you see what else? Spiders. You see the owls. It's all these negative things.
Okay. And just to give this summary from what I've understood of the book, the thing originated from. They were trying to avoid the bad vibes. I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Yeah.
And so they would put in front of the houses all these images to kind of go, we're kind of part of the crew, so don't come here.
Yeah.
Just kind of, and then from there we started to pick up this whole let's all dress up. As Halloween. There was something you mentioned in the book that was so cool, and again I'm gonna paraphrase, but it was to do with the concept of how can like two people from the same house kind of. I can't remember how you said it now. I should have read over it. How can two people from the same house kind of like stand against each other? It was kind of like right after you described where it came from.
Yeah. So the thing is, they say that them dressing up is to kind of ward off the evil spirits.
Yes.
How does you dressing up scary ward off evil spirits?
Because
you're just like
exactly
the evil spirit that you're trying
to ward off.
So
Yeah. I thought it was
make it make sense.
a good description.
No, but like logically, let's just think about it.
Yeah,
Like, how does that work?
it doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, because like, yeah, it doesn't.
Because it's just like, yeah, come on in. We're all the same anyway.
It's if anything, it's welcoming it in.
Yeah.
It's
And
doing
it's the same thing with the dressing up.
Yeah.
Because it's a uniform. It's a clique. It's a group. I'm in the army. I wear my army uniform.
Exactly.
And then my fellow army brother or sister knows we're in the same group.
Yeah.
We're in the same clique.
Yeah. And
So,
if anything, it invites it in.
Exactly.
Versus repelling it away.
warding that off, yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't work.
No.
The concept itself doesn't work.
You see, when you really
Think
about it,
yeah.
Then you're like, okay, that doesn't make sense, really.
Now the counter argument, of course, would be, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
Sure, look, there's no bad vibes. There's no spirit. Like, I feel like to really read this and for it to be informative, you kind of have to be open-minded that this is actually problematic. That's where, from my perspective, that's where the basis of this is. Because if you come in going, it's just a cultural thing, it's just for fun, there's no big deal, then sure, of course, everything you read is just going to be like, it doesn't matter. But if you're kind of going, could this be problematic? Then whatever you read in the book informs you to both. And I actually feel like I was very surprised because in the first few pages already, you were kind of like, well, look, you can still practice, you can still, engage in Halloween if you want to, which I was surprised to read because most times when you read a Christian book.
That's not what I said. I think
really?
you misunderstood that.
Maybe I misunderstood because I feel like you were, correct me. So here's why we're here. I feel like you were kind of saying, here's my points. If you want to proceed and go ahead, you can go ahead. Here are alternative ways.
No. What I meant because okay, this is it. I in no way support Halloween.
Fair.
In no way. What I was probably trying to say is that you can do something else.
Yes.
And the things that I would advise or that I wrote about in the book are things of light.
Yes, such as the pumpkin with the cross.
Exactly.
Yes.
Things of, Christian things.
Right, yeah.
That are in direct opposite to Halloween.
Yeah.
So I know
Hallelujah nights.
exactly. I do not support it. That is me personally as a Christian. And the reason is, like I said, what people just see, people are just dressing up, it's all fun and games. But when you look deep down into the origins of Halloween and you look deep down at what it encourages. It encourages witchcraft. It inculcates occultism. These are things that are the roots and the beginning and the genesis of it all. Now, the Bible says in Deuteronomy 18, 10 to 12, it's talking about how you should not partake of these kind of things. Speaking to the dead, doing magic, doing spells, all these things. And that's what all, it's all about or is all abound in this season, in this time of Halloween. And again, witches and warlocks believe that, which not that they believe it, but it's their thing, that on the 31st, I beg your pardon, of October, there's a portal. And it's like what's the word? The highest of the seasons. It's the time where there's a portal between the light and the life and the death and and all this kind of things. And they believe that time is like their Christmas or their special season, that all kind of things happen, on that night. So as a child of God, as a Christian, no, I don't want to be a partaker of that. No, I don't want my children to be a partaker of that.
Yeah, I completely see that perspective. And I guess I was misunderstanding, and I'm glad we brought it up.
Yeah, yeah.
That I was misunderstanding sort of towards the last chapter, I believe, had, the pumpkin and then using
Yeah,
the cross
yeah.
as, I guess, so not as an alternative.
Now, you would think that, okay, like a pumpkin is a vegetable, right?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
I was going to say a fruit. It's a vegetable.
Right.
That was created by God.
Yes.
Fine is being used for a negative thing. How about we flip it?
Yeah.
And use it for a
Yeah.
positive thing.
Yeah.
And the craft that I mentioned in the book was to get a piece of pumpkin,
Yeah.
and then you cut the top, just like you want to carve it,
Yeah.
but scoop the insides out. And as I'm doing this, it's like an object lesson for the kids. And I'm telling them, when you come to Christ, this is how you are, all messy and full of sin inside. And God, when He He died on the cross for you, He's given you your life. That aspect is taking away the sin and cleaning you up. So we clean the inside of the pumpkin, and then we cut a cross and we light a candle and we say, when you've given your life, you're now a child of God. God lives in you. Jesus Christ lives in you. You're now a light.
Yeah.
You are now to shine forth and show forth the light of God.
Is this a suggestion or is this something you've actually done?
It's something that I've actually done, and it was a suggestion, just to give an idea. Yeah. So what we do Hallelujah Night, and the whole point is to shift the focus from this. Now, I have to say, we don't always do it on the Halloween.
Okay, fair enough.
We usually do it on the bank holiday Monday because parents are off, children's are off. Yeah, it's easier. So we would usually do it then. And for me personally, what we would do in my church, we would have a theme. We would do activities based on the theme. We would always give the children something to do. For me, it's so much more what you do instead.
Rather than what you don't do.
Yeah,
I agree.
because a lot of people I've heard now. Sorry, I'm not knocking any church down, but I've had a parent in my church come back. So we had ours on the bank holiday, which was maybe a day before Halloween, and then they had theirs on Halloween, and she went to her sister's church, and the following Sunday she came back and she was like, thank you so much for what you do for the kids, like Hallelujah Night and all that. I was like, oh yeah, you said you were going to your sister. I said, I honestly don't know what they were doing, because they were just doing, she was like, there was no head to tail or for it. The kids were just playing, just singing, just dancing, playing all kinds of songs and all that. And that she didn't really see the need, or that there was no thought process behind it. So it's not just say, okay, let the kids not stay home so they don't trick or treat. Come home, load them up with sweets. No, we have a theme. We have a message. We tell them why. You need to tell them why.
It's the education piece.
Exactly. Because you cannot just tell a child, don't do Halloween. Why? Why?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah.
So from like a lot of my kids, we've taught them this. They know.
Yeah.
They even go to school and they say it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I just want to circle back to the whole symbolism thing, because as a children teacher, you probably have your kids doing coloring, I'm guessing, coloring, just artwork, right?
Yeah.
And I suppose, what's my question? Sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts as I talk. I guess my question is, what is the power of symbolism? Because if you hand a child something, the story you even said was interesting about this other kid who's crying. If you hand a child something, you give no explanations, but they're just seeing an image. It's obviously invoking something in their mind. And both parties can play on that. And by both parties, I mean, well, the non-Christians and everything, the spiritual aspect, and, Christians. We can both play on this knowledge that image does something to the mind. I suppose, what's your understanding of that? And do you kind of agree with the statement in and of itself, that it's kind of like a play on the mind and how imagery is?
Definitely, because our mind is, I think children are very, what's that word? Susceptible?
Yes.
Yeah. They can,
They're vulnerable.
let me use myself as an example. I'm a very visual person.
Yes. So,
I can see something and that thing will stay with me. So I'd rather not see it,
Then
if you know what I mean, than
than
see
for
it,
it
because
yeah,
once I see, especially if it's a bad thing, I can't unsee it.
of course.
It plays on my
Yeah.
mind. And children are so young, they're so innocent. They just take whatever you give them.
Yeah.
So I think loading them up with these images, like I said, that's just one example of a child that I gave. She was literally traumatized. And I know this because the mother shared it with me. And who's to say they could have nightmares?
Yeah.
Do you understand? They could now become scared of that. A lot of kids. Now, I saw this online actually. A mother and two kids going trick or treating. Now, this is what happened. The person had like a, what's it called, a skeleton dressed in a black cloak with the that screaming face,
Yeah.
sitting down in the porch, and they had a bowl of sweets in, and the mom was videoing. The two kids were working up, and the mom was staying back, and the girl came back and said, "Mom, I'm afraid, you come." And the mom was like, "No, you just go and get this."
There's a lot. There's a lot in it, and I think I'm very careful to use the word, but I want to use the
Yeah.
word indoctrination.
Yeah.
That's happening very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah, definitely.
low key and very slow.
Definitely.
With that sort
Because
of,
the other side of it is that kids will see this and they become insensitized and just be like, it's normal.
I actually like that word. Insensitized to the normality of things that are not normal.
Yes, yes.
Witchcraft isn't normal. No. There's nothing normal about it. There's nothing normal about speaking to the dead. There's nothing normal about all of that stuff.
Yeah.
None of it is okay. And I think as a society and as a culture, we don't question it. We don't. It's so ingrained now. And this is what they're doing with everything, isn't it? Which brings me to the last couple of questions. I want us to wrap it up. But I found that, I forgot what chapter it was. Doesn't matter what chapter it was. But you kind of brought in ever so towards the end or halfway through somewhere about like transgenderism, film, TV shows, movies, music. I felt like games, the rainbow. You kind of threw in pretty much everything in there. What was and then sexual education.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Well, that I think that was that chapter. Yeah, that chapter was after talking about the dangers of Halloween.
Yes.
And then everything that I have said, those things that they all link in, because there's movies, there's
That's
games.
What I wasn't understanding when I read it. I didn't understand. Please enlighten me.
Yeah.
How they were linking.
They link because, for example, Halloween, scary movies, scary games. And then also talking about how the culture and the school are influencing children, what they think, how they should stand up for themselves, how they should have a different identity, how they can make up their own identity. So if they want to be a dog today or a cat tomorrow, they can do that. So it's all this. It's definitely, for me, I see it as from danger and then bringing it up to be wise that this is the agenda, or this is the plan of the devil concerning your children. And just for us to be aware of it. Talking about movies, do you know this lady, Jenny Weaver?
No.
Okay. She's a Christian. Now she's a Christian. She used to be a witch, and she got indoctrinated into witchcraft by watching a scary movie with her friends. And that's how she started. So look at music. The past couple of days, I don't know if you've heard about, like, I've never watched the song or anything, but I've been seeing it in the news about people talking about a certain celebrity that has witchcraft and voodoo and all kind of things in the video. I don't even want to know the name of people like that.
It's probably Doja Cat or something crazy like that.
Probably, because I've heard, So people are just doing all sorts.
Okay.
So there's music, then, and when you talk about games, there's a game called Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
I think it's Silence of the Lambs, something of the Lambs. And it is, I don't even have the words to say. So there's so much that is being pushed
On
at the
you.
children.
Yeah. Okay, now I get it. I didn't
Yeah.
get it because
Yeah.
I was reading this going.
Yeah.
I was reading the story of Halloween.
And
I
then
was like,
something just popped
I'm
up.
like,
I
where
know.
did this come
Where
from?
did this come from?
But
I know.
get it, and I'm gonna try and summarize
Yeah.
what I'm understanding. So it's like, first of all, you have, well, not first of all, because I don't know what
Yeah.
the timeline is, but you have Halloween, which is a very cultural acceptance of a
Yeah.
lot of negative things.
Yeah.
But then you have the intentional agenda, and I do think TV in particular,
Yeah.
extremely intentional. They don't make mistakes on the type of things that there's a
Yes.
reason why you can't turn on TV on, you know, Nickelodeon and watch a Christian show.
Yeah.
And why you have to go source it
Yeah.
on a YouTube channel or
Yeah.
a very specific.
Yes.
There's a reason why Christian stuff isn't mainstream, or even
Yeah.
just at this point, forget Christian stuff. Even just neutral TV,
Exactly.
neutral cartoons,
Just
about
wholesome.
wholesome
Family.
You're not gonna get none of that.
No.
You're gonna have to go out of your way
Yeah.
to source it.
Yeah.
Mainstream is very dark intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why Disney, you can't find a Disney show these days that doesn't have a romantic element that's involved kissing, and like the
For a
target
3-year-old
audience.
child.
Exactly. It's like, why is there even a romantic storyline? Like, just let the kids be kids.
Yeah.
The kids are not allowed to be kids
No.
these days. And there's a very intentional sort of agenda being thrown out
Yes.
there, and it's up to the parents
Yes, it is.
to
It is.
to reel it in.
You know, we can't afford to be lazy parents.
Right.
We can't afford to
Okay.
just stick your child in front of the TV and let me
my
have my
God.
peace of mind and,
Oh,
do
Jesus.
whatever, and I'll
It's
just
funny
rest, or I'll
'cause-
just cook, or I'll just clean.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Not nowadays. I shared this in the Facebook thing you were talking about. Now, a lot of pedophiles will do TV shows on YouTube and tag a popular cartoon.
Wait, what do you mean?
So, Peppa Pig, for example.
The
And then you just think, when
my God.
your child knows how to type the Peppa Pig, or they can see it from the one you've typed before, and you just think it is Peppa Pig, but no, it's not.
Oh my gosh.
It's Peppa Pig mommy and Peppa Pig daddy doing things that your child shouldn't be looking at. So you just have to be very careful now. Don't just dump your child and give them a device, or like, I was very strict, and at that time it wasn't even this bad, but I was very strict with games, with devices. My son only got a phone when he was in secondary school, and when he got it, we got it in the tree shop, and then I said to them, "Can you make sure it cannot access any adult content?" I did that straight in the shop. You can do this. A lot of people don't know that. There's so many things that you can, filter and do. Search it online, Google Family link, all these things, you can do them. So that was one. On my Sky TV, I put a watershed mark on it. So he can't go to any channels that he's not supposed to go to. Do you understand? And you just have to take some necessary precautions. Same thing with the YouTube and whatever your child is watching. Vet it, check it, make sure that it's a reliable source. We just need to be. No, we can't afford to be lazy or afford to be ignorant, because
Consequences are
there
bad.
is a lot. Like, I really fear for this generation. There's a lot thrown at them. There's a lot bombarded at them. There's a lot that
There's a
they're
lot.
going through,
There's
and
a
they're
lot. And
yeah.
as someone who's seen these kids coming in through ED with anxiety, suicidal
Yes.
depression.
Yes.
I've had a kid tell me unhappiness for no known reason. I'm sure people don't want to hear it, that there's alternative. I mean, if you're unhappy for no known reason, there are reasons why this is the recurrent theme happening. And one of the things I actually suggested to this kid was, have you actually thought about spending less time on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I said, if you are unhappy, you don't know why you're unhappy. Is it possible that you're watching a bunch of influencers on TikTok talking about unhappiness?
Yeah.
And then TikTok is suggesting more unhappy. And then all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
seeing depression videos.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're seeing...
Yeah.
And then that's all you think about. It's in your mind. And now you're sad, but you don't even know why. Because
Yeah.
nothing bad is actually happening in your life. But you spend
that's all you
7 hours on
see.
your phone
Yeah.
thinking about really deep stuff.
And this social media stuff.
You know, it's tough.
I think it was a few years ago. Or was it last year? A few years ago, TikTok had all this different challenge that they were doing. Quite a few of them around Halloween time. And children actually died from it.
Yeah, of course.
Blackout challenge.
Yeah. The TikTok challenges are dangerous.
Red door, yellow door.
They're dangerous.
These are all paranormal stuff. That red door, yellow door one.
I'm not aware, but I've heard of it before.
Yeah.
It's not my first time hearing this.
So
but I'm also intentional about what I see. So I
Thank
did not
you.
look
Thank
into
you.
it. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
It's not everything.
I looked
I
into
look
it,
into
but it got to a stage I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, because I'm also conscious of my dream life.
Yes.
And as much like...
You need to be careful what you allow
Yeah.
into your space.
Yeah, as an adult, like this is not just kids.
Yeah.
As an adult, I just don't need to be seeing that.
Yeah,
I want to
that's it.
sleep and
That's
actually
it.
rest.
That's it.
Not be fighting
Exactly.
everybody
Exactly.
in my
In your
dreams.
sleep.
So yeah, sometimes I just don't bother myself. There's other wholesome... I mean, the good stuff I've never been finished reading. So let me, focus my attention. But I think for parents, you do have to go out of your way to educate yourself on what are these kids doing.
Yeah.
Be aware of what challenges, at least somewhat, or at least know the names. Like, I feel like if parents even knew the names, if you overheard your child talking about it, you kind of know to check out what those kids are doing.
That point right there, please befriend your kids.
Yeah, 100%.
Be friends with your children, because a lot of times, you're tired from work. You please just talk to them, spend time with them, share with them, play with them.
Yeah.
They just,
Interact.
interact.
One thing
because
people need to know is being friends with your kids is more than just sitting them down once a week to go, how was your day?
Yeah.
Like, you have to make way more effort than
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
You can't expect someone to open up and tell you what's on their mind if you give them the bare minimum
Yeah.
interaction. And then go, because I find that people often go, why does my child not talk to me? Well, that doesn't just happen overnight. That happens slowly and regularly and daily. So a conscious effort needs to be made about building wholesome... I'm speaking more about teenagers now.
Yeah.
But building wholesome, healthy relationship with your kids will not happen
so important.
overnight.
So important.
It needs to happen regularly and daily.
Definitely, regularly. And like I always say, even till now, I have such a beautiful relationship with my son because we've always had that
bond.
So no, it's I cannot emphasize that.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. I think I said that already before, but anyway. One of my favorite parts of this book, one of my favorite things about this book was the review questions.
Oh yeah.
It was probably my single most, because I just don't see it in books. I don't see it in books, especially. I actually don't see it in books, but a review question
after each chapter.
Yeah. It forces you to pause.
Yes.
And go, oh, what did I actually take from that? Did I learn anything from that?
Yes.
And
that was the
and that
point.
was why you did it. Okay, because
I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher.
Right.
So
okay, makes sense.
When I'm teaching, I want to recap and be like, okay, so what did I say? What do you understand by that?
Yeah.
What did you get from this?
Yeah.
So that was the whole point of that review question. And also, this book is very easy. You can give your child to read, but I would encourage you, read it together, read it as a family. Use those review questions as discussion points, and be like, okay, so we've learned this today. What do you think about that? I think that's the way children learn.
Right.
That's the way everybody learns, really. Going over something, summarizing, repetition, and all that.
Yeah.
So that was intentional.
As
that was definitely
my
intentional.
favorite question of them all.
Okay.
Describe how these symbols make you feel. Page 26. The reason why that was my favorite question was it moved away from facts.
Yeah.
And it moved away from
just think.
condemnation or whatever,
Yeah,
whatever
how-
emotion you feel like you're
Yeah.
getting from the book, even from watching this video. Apologies to anybody who feels like they're not a great parent or whatever. I don't freaking know how you're feeling. Whatever way you're feeling, it doesn't really matter. The point is, now that you have this information, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
If it makes you feel uncomfortable, I think there's something to be investigated.
Yes.
Go and investigate that and go, why don't I feel comfortable about what I'm hearing? Because if you feel like Halloween is not a big deal, this information shouldn't trigger you. You shouldn't feel like defending yourself. You should feel neutral. You should be like, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you feel anything other than neutral right now, I suggest you just think a little bit harder on why you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And investigate that. And maybe it's possible your child doesn't feel comfortable either.
Yeah.
And you've never taken the time out to actually ask them.
Ask them, yeah.
Because oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes our feelings are guiding us towards something. And that's what they're doing when they give these kids pictures, right? They're
Yes.
guiding them towards
Yes.
something. So
That it's okay, that it's
Exactly.
normal, that
And
it's
it's-
accepted.
it's not.
Yeah.
And that's just the secret, obvious reality. These days, what is obvious has now become, this hidden.
The
gem.
normal is now abnormal.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. But in conclusion, you need to read this book. You especially need to read it ahead of Halloween. Another good thing I like about this book is it's so brief. You can get through this in a weekend. Less even if you really put your head to it. You can get to it. I can guarantee you in a weekend. But if you wanted to squish it in, you can get to it in a day. If you really wanted to kind of fire through. And it's one of them things that you would probably, if you had it in your book, I'd put it on your stand. And I would read it every year and use the review questions as points of discussion with your kids, with your teenagers, with other parents. But this is the right time of the year to be reading this. If you don't want a copy, there is a digital version.
Yep.
I mentioned that at the start. So you can read. I actually even recommend the digital because you can get it today and you can start reading it today.
Yeah.
And then buy yourself a hard copy to gift to your friends and family and whatever. I'll be keeping this if that's okay with
Yeah,
you.
that's fine.
But yeah, Auntie, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I think
Thank
the
you
whole
so
community
much.
of people will appreciate the knowledge and the time it took to put this together.
Thank you.
I think it's a blessing
Thank
to
God.
society, right? As a whole, and to parents as a whole.